In this interview, I sit down with Fuji enthusiast Christopher Berry to talk about what makes Fuji so magic. All right, guys, I'm sitting here with a new friend of mine, Mr. Chris Berry. Chris and I sat down, or actually we didn't sit down. We were in the Epson booth at WPPI 2016 a couple weeks ago. I was doing some interviews there, and Chris approached me, and he's a Sony, not a Sony guy, a Fuji guy. And I want to say, yeah, I want to make that distinction because we had a great conversation, and this guy was like all in on his Fuji gear, and we had a nice long conversation about why and what is that kind of thing that Fuji has that seems to tie people in. So I figured, hey, let's bring him on the show. Let's have that conversation for the TWiP listeners and kind of get under the covers and see like what is that Fuji magic that drives hordes of people to the platform. So Chris, welcome. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you, man. And, I want to be sure to position this, and we talked a little bit before I started recording. You're not a professional photographer. You're a realtor. You're in Arizona, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and you're doing well at that. But you are an amateur or amateur / enthusiast in the pure sense of it. You do this because you love it, right? This is your hobby. And you're not trying to do clients, all this stuff. You just love this stuff. You like buying the gear and taking photographs.
A little too much buying the gear. I'm trying to keep it cool at home, just being honest. But yeah, I love photography. It's definitely how I express myself, for sure.
I love that. That's the most genuine way to be. And like when you and I were talking, it just struck me as you're really genuine about the photography piece of it with a healthy sense of gear lust.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. I love it.
you know the worst thing for the gear lustful? Amazon Prime, man. It's the worst thing.
2 days. I just got a reflector for, some stuff. I got some creative stuff I got coming up. I got some new MagMod stuff. I mean, it's bad. It's
easy
bad.
For the impulsive person and the person that easily justifies purchases. Like, of course I need this new lens. Click.
One click buy. One click buy. I'm in trouble, but it's great. It's great.
Like, honey, I needed that because 2.8 was not fast enough. I needed 1.4.
Background blur, baby. You just don't get it.
I know. It's all about the bokeh. All right, so let's talk Fuji a little bit. So I've noticed, and as you probably know, I shoot Micro Four Thirds, and I have Lumix cameras, and I'm happy with that system. But that's not to say that I don't recognize the beauty and the love that other people have for other systems. And lately, it seems, how Sony's coming on with, they're releasing these amazing cameras like every couple of months. They're coming out with cameras. So I see this love for the Fuji system amongst for the Sony system amongst Sony shooters, and it's almost an irrational love. This is the camera. It's like Thor and his hammer. There's only one. This is my. You can't lift it. This is my camera. And then I see the same kind of behavior on the Fuji side, albeit different. Right. It's a different kind of love. It's a different kind of lust and all that. There's my mates back there cleaning up. It's a different kind of lust, but it's still there, right? It's still that kind of, I love Fuji, and it's almost an intangible love. It's like when people say, I just love the look of these Fuji images. I was talking to Karen Hutton yesterday, and she's like, the images that I get out of Fuji, I can't describe it. It's just better than what I got out of Canon.
Yeah, okay, so the Sony NEX6 was my first mirrorless interchangeable camera. I loved it. I loved the rangefinder style of it. I liked how it was small. I liked how it was a 16 megapixel. It was great. And that really got me kind of hooked on small form factor cameras. And then I started reading about Fuji.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this thing? And, at the time I was like, I can't do this to my wife. I can't buy another camera, so I wound up buying a used one on Adorama or B&H or something. And when I got it, I was just blown away. I was blown away by not only the feel of the camera, but the viewfinder. The hybrid viewfinder.
You showed me that at WPPI, the hybrid viewfinder, and I kind of get it, but then I'm thinking, this is a mirrorless camera that you're shooting here, and of course, my first exposure to mirrorless was with Micro Four Thirds, which obviously live view is how they see, right? Because there's no mirror in there. But you see your data overlaid on the image. You can adjust it, and so you can see the exposure settings and what they're going to do before you click the shutter and all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you have on yours it's kind of a hybrid,
right?
So explain that. You showed it to me, but I still didn't like grok it really exactly. It.
Yeah. Okay. So the hybrid viewfinder is many different types of shooting experiences in one. That's the one way I can quantify what it does. So essentially, you have just the optical viewfinder, where the camera will sense the focal length of the lens attached to it up to 90 millimeters. Okay, 90 millimeters is Fuji's. If I'm correct, it's Fuji's longest fixed focal length lens. So the frame lines go from 16 to 90. So they have 16, 18, 23, 35, 56, 60, I think is on there too, and then 90. So in the viewfinder, you have the total scene, and then you have the frame lines that match the focal distance of that lens attached. Okay.
Yep.
Then the next mode you have is essentially like a picture-in-picture. It gives you
wait, hold on. See, I think that's where I lost it at. So in your viewfinder, you said you have total scene, you have the total scene, and then it's got crop lines in there that show you the scene as it's going to be recorded.
Absolutely.
To the SD card that's in the camera. Why is it showing you more than what you actually see? Because on Micro Four Thirds, it's what you see is what you get, corner to corner.
Right, because it's on Micro Four Thirds, you're doing a mirrorless, so it's only going to be a digital viewfinder.
Right.
But with optical, it's going to be the width of whatever that mag factor is for that optical viewfinder.
So it's optical. Then
it's optical and it's digital. So in that viewfinder, you have the option of just optical. You have the option of just EVF, electronic viewfinder, and then you have what's in between. You have a mode where you can put a little TV, essentially just kind of how Skype is right now.
Yeah, picture in a picture.
Like on your screen, I'm probably the largest, and then it would be a smaller, like a conversation, right? So the small TV is the electronic pop-up viewfinder that shows you one of two things. It'll show you the entire scene, or it'll show you the focal point within that scene that you can move around with a thumbstick.
That seems complicated to me. I mean, you probably have to build up the muscle memory to understand, and then make it kind of second nature to you. But even when you were showing me in Vegas, I was like if I want to get the shot, I got to think, okay, which mode am I in? Okay, that thing in the middle is what I'm shooting, not everything. Or if I shoot and I'm thinking back to like film world or even Micro Four Thirds, I may crop the scene, forgetting that it's only my subject is on the line or something. So how do you avoid that? Is it just over time you get used to it?
It happens so quick, and even quicker because I had gone from a Sony A7 II and purchased the X Pro 2 because I just missed the X Pro 1 so much. But it is something that just kind of happens, and it's when you look at a scene, you're automatically thinking what you're going to need the camera to do when you want to capture exactly what you want to capture in that scene. So for example, if I'm doing optical, maybe I'm in kind of a sketchy area and it's a little busy and I don't want to be EVF because I want to see who's coming in and out of my scene. And I want to be able to see what the camera's capturing, and I want to know what's in focus if I'm doing manual or whatever. And since the exposure triangle it's all there. It's all there on the top.
Oh, right.
You just can switch the aperture. You can switch your shutter speed manually. You can select your ISO. Everything is there. It's easy. It's awesome. Like once you know how much power you have to capture an image and the many ways you can do so, unbelievable.
What's the focus speed like on that? Because that's another thing that the manufacturers across the board, they put in their marketing bullets. You know, it's usually going to be focusing speed and megapixels and all that.
Right.
You know, how is this thing from like taking it from the side to
and
half
shooting.
press and getting the shot?
Well, it depends on how you have it set up. For me, it's miles ahead of the first X Pro 1. I mean, the X Pro 1, everyone will admit that it was like dog slow. But for me, being like rapid fire and so busy, and like when I have a busy life. When I go to shoot, I can be more deliberate, and it matched what I needed it to do at the time. So it was okay that it was slow. That wore off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's the wake up speed so much faster than the X Pro 1. I mean, it's so much faster. The XT1, which I also owned, was great too. But it's much faster. It's much more accurate. The big help for acquiring focus and, you know, focusing on a subject in your scene is that little joystick right there, right here.
Oh,
right there.
At the top. Okay.
Yeah, so that moves your focal point either 77, you can select 77 focal points, or well over 250 or 277 focal points or something like that. Yeah. And when you're in EVF mode, you can select whichever focal point.
Is the LCD not touch? You can't touch on it and select it?
It's not a touch screen. No, this doesn't articulate, and it's not a touch screen.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got many more pixels than the first version. I want to say 2.36. I don't know all the specs, but it's well over 2 million pixels on the screen. Wow. It's, the refresh rate on the EVF is super quick. I want to say it's twice as fast as the XT1. So it's not the same magnification factor, the field of view, but it's super crispy. It's really, really nice.
So Chris, can you explain or try to explain what the look, that Fuji look is? You said you only shot this much film. I used to I shot Fujifilm, Kodak film, Ilford, all that stuff back in the day. But yeah, and I know, there's a Fuji Velvia look, and all these different emulsions that Fuji came out with that people used to swear by back in the day. Some portrait photographers are like, I will only use this substrate for my work because it has that look, and you can tell that look. Right. Does that translate over? I mean, can you when you look at your images on this system versus one of your previous systems, can you tell that this was Fuji versus another system?
Hands down. Absolutely.
What is that though? That's like Leica. We did a show on Doug Kay and I did a show on Leica a couple years ago called Leica or Leave It. And we were trying to get to the nugget of there's that Leica look, Right. And we were trying to we were positing is the Leica look marketing? Because it's like gasoline now with Techron. No one knows what Techron is, but it's good. I gotta have Techron in my gas now because it's good. Right. But is the Leica look the Techron, or is the Fuji look the Techron of the photography industry? What is it?
It is intangible. It's really hard to say this is what I like about that image. But it's just pleasing. Like, it's such a beautiful rendering of color and sharpness and transition between one shade to the next. It's just beautiful. The lens combination, and the sensor combination, it's super sharp because there's no optical low pass filter and things like that. Yeah. The only thing that I can say is that when I look at my images, even from my X Pro 1, there is just a quality. There's a liveliness to those images that I just don't have in any other image that I've seen. I just don't have it. Or if I duplicate it, it's much more labor intensive. So I've shot my A7 II RAW, and I've gone into Lightroom, and I've been like, I want to, and I have Astia, and I have Velvia, and I have this and this and this, and I have and I have Visco, and I have all these things. And I'm like scrolling down, I'm like, where's that look that I like? Yeah. Where's that look, And it's just not there.
All right, I need to shoot it, obviously, in order to see it.
It's great. It's great. The images just the JPEGs are just incredible. And you can change the sharpness. You can change the contrast in the camera for your JPEGs. You can add grain in this camera.
Really? You can add grain in there? That's cool.
You can convert RAWs to JPEGs. You can, all in the camera.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's the photometry, the metering system in there is incredible. The quickness I can scroll through, it's just great.
What about low light? Because that's the other thing. And you mentioned Sony's. Sony is currently king of the hill with the flag when it comes to low light performance. With the A7S series being able to shoot in near darkness almost, right?
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, as if like I brought up to Karen Hutton. Karen Hutton was saying, "Yeah, I like that, but I don't remember when I ever needed to shoot in near darkness."
Right. Yeah. Can't wait to be in a dark room and find my way out of it with the EVF and the Sony A7.
Right. Yeah, shooting a black mouse in a dark room. Right.
Yeah. Right. I've done a little bit of night shooting with it. The true test is going to be, this summer at Burning Man. That's when I'm really going to put some of the night shooting and the high ISO stuff with this camera. But for what I do, and I shot some night stuff that I can share with you, but it's great for adding resolution. And, and having really great ISO performance and having great low light lenses, like my 16 1.4, I overnighted it from Adorama. I was like, gotta get it because it's so great. It's been great.
For my use, 16 1.4, what's the full frame equivalent for that lens?
24.
That's 24. So is that the widest that Fuji offers right now, the 16?
Well, in fixed, they have a 14. Okay. And they also have a 10 to 24.
Okay.
But this I want to say is their newest, low light fixed, wide angle lens, and it's amazing.
Really?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's great.
All right. So then my next question was on This Week in Photo, and myself personally, I do a lot of video, and we're doing video now. But I do a lot of video and multimedia and that kind of thing. How does Fuji fare in there? I know Panasonic and Lumix, they're sitting at the king of the hill. They're the king of the hill with 4K and all that stuff. Right. Where's Fuji in there? Are you able to do that kind of stuff?
Fuji, you're not doing 4K in this. You're still at 1080p. I'm not a video guy, so having that function wasn't, not having that function wasn't a big deal to me. Yeah. But from what I've heard, people that have used Fuji's in the past are just like, it's garbage. The video is garbage. Okay. It's not a professional video camera. And I guess anywhere you would read, like I've read, it's like Fuji's doesn't really care about video. Yeah. I mean, they're comfortable being a stills photography company. However, I have read that they're not planning on putting 4K in this camera, although the sensor and the new processor can do it.
It could handle it. Yeah.
You're right. So they may be doing it later. But for me, I haven't run a single video clip on this, but from what I've read in the past and what I've, looked at online, the video is just not serious at all.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, you got to applaud them for being, single-minded, right? And focused. Like, okay, we're going to try to be the best at this one thing. Right. And concede that other stuff to the other guys like Panasonic and Sony, let them do that. And like I was saying in the beginning, I don't know if we were recording, but I was saying, why do people need to be monogamous when it comes to gear, right? I mean, all things being equal, finances and all that, but if this camera is ideal for, let's say, call it traditional photography, why not use the best tool for the job to do that? Right. So, then the other question on that, so we talked about video, we talked about low light, that APS-C size sensor. That's the other thing that people talk about. So you got micro four thirds, you got APS-C, you got full frame. Bigger is always better. So why go with a Fuji with a smaller sensor, APS-C, versus a full frame Nikon or Sony A7 or A7S or A7 II or whatever. Right, there's a bunch of them. I can't keep up now. Out there. Yeah, there were two when I started looking. Now there's like 90 of them. So why? I mean, is it better? And Karen was saying something about larger, whatever on the sensor. What's your point? What do you think?
Well, okay, so the previous camera I had before the X Pro 2 was a Sony A7 II. Okay, I got it right when it came out in December 2014. I got it because it was, of course, Sony, and it was full frame, and it was, the 5-axis image stabilization, and all these great tech things about that camera.
Yeah, they pulled at those heartstrings of the geek in you.
I was like, you need this, Chris. Come on, man, buy me. I was like, babe, it's XT1.
That's what marketing materials that these marketers put out. All they're doing is giving you ammunition so that you can convince your wife.
Exactly. So thank you, marketers. Thank you. I'll be on the street if I don't watch myself. Exactly. But there is an aesthetic when it comes to full frame stuff. You know, the depth of field is easier to make more shallow on a full frame. The larger sensor you go, the shallower depth of field you can create. And conversely, since 35 millimeter, I don't know why, is the standard for measuring any other focal length or whatever, it's easier to get a shallower depth of field. As far as light gathering, when you have, you know, the larger pixels, you're going to gather more light, and the number of pixels per sensor is going to help you gather more light, so you can have higher ISO or whatever. To me, I don't care anymore. I used to be like, oh, you know, my friend who's a wedding photographer, he does full frame. Oh, get full frame. Why don't you buy that? It's too much money. You could have bought a this or a 6D or, you know, or whatever.
Right.
But with Sony, to be completely honest, I was looking at more light from the lenses. I was looking at their 35-1.4s. I was looking at their new G Master series lenses. I was looking at, you know, the 24-70, which is now on par with Canon, Nikon. And then I was looking at the bucks it's going to cost me to, you know, to satisfy my addiction. And the size of the lenses was just growing, and the weight of the lenses was growing, and my fear of taking it out and getting on the street was just like, my anxiety was like, oh my gosh, you know, what if someone gets me from my camera?
It's always that balance, right? It's like, okay, I can hit this guy over the head and take that large, expensive looking piece of kit that he has, or I could go hungry or get evicted, right?
Exactly. And so I want to keep shooting, and I don't want to be noticed. I mean, I'm going to be noticed, but I don't want to be a target. I'll put it that way.
You want to be conspicuous. You want to be as inconspicuous as you can while still getting the shot. Absolutely.
And so I saw the body growing, I saw the lenses growing, and I saw the price going like this. And I also like drones, you know, and I like traveling and all these things.
You can't be inconspicuous with a drone. I gotta tell you.
It's not going to happen. But if I'm going to keep buying Sony, I can't afford the Phantom 4 that I want to buy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I want the quality, and I want the experience, and I'm shooting for myself. And when I don't have someone else to please, and it's just me, you know, this camera is the perfect balance between an amazing shooting experience, great image quality, and speed. And honestly, it's sexy. I mean, it's a really great camera. And I don't like what I do like is the fact that people, that when they notice me, they know what it is. You know, like just this morning, I was doing some editing, and a gentleman came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you got the X Pro 2? I had an XE1, I had an XE2, and But I don't know. I mean, it's a great size.
I have a feeling you like that camera. I don't know why.
I'm gonna sell it. I might just return it.
I know you're not enthusiastic, but something's telling me you like that camera a whole lot. I love this. And while you don't know this, but while this has been playing, I'm editing in images that you sent me that you've shot with this camera, so people can see kind of that look that we've been talking about. Okay, so you're in the X Pro 2 world right now. Right. Probably the X Pro 3. You're on a subscription plan with Fuji right now.
Yep. Just send it to me right now.
Exactly. You should just do like a monthly thing, and they just send you the news. Like Apple wised up and did that with the phones, right? So you could get on their subscription plan.
As soon as they come out.
So people, thanks for doing this, by the way. If people want to contact you and ask you questions online through social media, where are you at? What are your presences online?
I'm on Facebook, Christopher Berry. It's a picture of me, of course, with my X Pro 2. And then I'm on Instagram at Mickman, MIKMAAN, at Mickman.
MIKMAAN. What does that mean? What is Mickman?
Michali is my middle child's name, and it's Michael in Greek. And so Mick is just short for Michael. Yeah.
Perfect, man. Perfect. No website yet?
No website yet. I've been looking at blog formats because my buddy's a photographer, and he's like, "Hey man, you got to get a blog. You just it's good, man. Put your stuff out. You know, people want to see it." And I'm like, "Well, I'm just for myself, you know." No, but he's like, "Man, you got something to share." And so I've been looking at Wix, I've been looking at Squarespace, and I've been looking at WordPress. So it's definitely coming soon.
Yeah. All three of those are awesome. You know, Squarespace is a sponsor of TWiP, obviously. This Week in Photo runs on WordPress, so that works, you know. So it just depends. I mean, you could even go Smug Mug, right? And put up a site with them. Yeah, so you have options. You can do it.
Yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
Cool, Chris. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Absolutely.
And we'll definitely keep in touch. You got to come on TWiP. I mean, I love your enthusiasm for this stuff, and I can tell the depth of your knowledge both on the artistic side and on the gear side. So we got to have you join the TWiP lineup and add your voice to the chorus if you're up for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. It's great. I love talking. No problem.
Cool, man. All right. You have a good day.
All right, Frederick. You too. Take care.
All right. See ya.